is Ben. This is my podcast. You are created to create. I was homeless for 4 years. I traveled 330 days a year, slept out of my car. I went through a lot of emotions in that week.
Do we have the same friend?
Creativity is about making choices. We're not just creative because we write something or paint something or sing something or edit something. We're creative because of how we choose to interact with the world. Every child is born an artist. The trouble is remaining one when we grow up. There is nothing that cannot be touched by God's grace. We believe if you step off the boat and you're not looking at Jesus, you're going to sink. But we also believe that when you sink, he's going to pick you up. Oh, I'm most likely, I'm going to go down. Most likely left out. So embarrassing.
Are you nervous right now?
I'm not. I think it's 2:30 in the morning.
We are created by God to create with a driven purpose.
Number one tip.
Just start making stuff.
How do we seek? How do we ask for wisdom?
That's such a good question.
Have fun being what God has called you to be as a creative.
Mic drop.
Dude, thank you for inviting me into your home.
Thank you for inviting me on your podcast.
Of course. I'm honored, bro.
It's a tit for tat, as they say.
Never heard that in my life.
You've never heard tit for tat?
Oh, tit for tat.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Good podcast.
God
Welcome,
willing.
by the way. Welcome, guys. You are listening to the Created to Create podcast, where we don't have an official intro, but we do know that we're created to create.
Created to create.
It's a little bit of a different vibe, I feel like, and I like it because it's currently midnight and we're just drinking some tea and
12:30.
12:30, midnight 30. But yeah, I'm excited to have you on, Brandan, and just chat about a few things and talk life a little bit. Yeah.
I'm excited to get to know you better. So
Same.
like we had a wonderful day at the pickleball courts.
That was fire.
And then
if you don't play pickleball, by the way, you're missing out. If you think it's for old people, it is, and they'll beat you. But it's also for young people.
It's true. It's tennis, but less frustrating. Ping pong, but more exertion.
Way more. Yeah.
Way more.
I mean, at some points, especially if you're playing singles, you're like really running around.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a great day at the pickleball courts back in December.
Yep.
And then I was on tour for 3 months. And then...
All across the country.
Yeah, all across the country. I met your brother in D.C.
You did. Yeah.
I played in your stomping
soon-to-be sister-in-law.
grounds. Yes.
Shout out.
Shout out. I played in your old stomping grounds, Chicago. I also played in Indiana.
Both of my old stomping
Fishers
grounds.
and Bloomington. I don't know if you're...
Oh, I'm very familiar. Yeah. Used to go to Bloomington all the time. There's a lake down there called Lake Monroe.
Monroe. Wah, wah, wah.
And do a little boating down there, a little jet ski, little fishing. Little boating.
Bolton for the boys?
Not Bolton. Boating.
Boating?
Yeah, boating.
Yeah, I feel like Indiana's low-key, kind of sneaky country.
They are. People take pride in that, too. If you talk to people, they really think they're from the South.
They're not.
Being from the South originally, from down in Tennessee, born in Memphis.
Oh, Memphis.
Yeah, they're not from the South.
Did you know, this is a fun fact about Memphis. Memphis, I learned this from Blake Spann, who lives in Memphis. Shout out Blake Spann.
Shout out, Blake.
Memphis, at one time, was on track to be the largest city in the world.
Yes, I do know that.
It's interesting.
Yep.
And then it all
Booming.
didn't happen.
It didn't, which is really sad. Definitely a podcast for another day, I think. But
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
bottom
sister-
line, though, I'm excited to get to know you because we had a great
Yeah.
day, and then I haven't seen like any of y'all from that day since.
Mhm.
Saw Alex on Sunday after church. We
Oh,
went to
yeah.
lunch.
Yeah, bro.
But other than that, like, haven't seen Gabe, haven't seen Hudson, haven't seen you.
No.
I've seen Steph. I've seen Steph a lot, but
Steph's the
yeah,
goat.
Steph is the goat. Great dog.
Great talk.
Bomi.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Oh, dog, not talk.
Dog. Not her dog.
Talk and talk. She's a great talk. Great
Mostly the
conversation.
dog, though.
If you guys are wondering how you can get a super dope hat like the one I'm wearing, you should just go to hewouldlovefirst.com. You can also get that hat as well. And you can get this t-shirt, which I'm going to give to you for free.
Oh my
For
gosh.
coming on the podcast.
Dude, this is sick.
Yeah. Little friend of God action, just like the hat, only it's a t-shirt.
Look at that. Ooh, great fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and thick.
Very thick, bro.
She thick.
With 2 C's or 3. I'd say 2.5. Hewouldlovefirst.com. They'll get you set up real good. But dude, I have an interesting question actually.
Oh, diving right in. Love it. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I guess more of a thought that I've had recently. But I want to address a pretty heavy lie that I feel like everybody faces at one point or another. I still face to this day. And it's that we're not creative as humans. Some people think like, oh, I'm not creative because I don't know, I don't do art, not a photographer, don't do music, whatever it is. And I was recently just like reminded of this through a conversation with my younger sister who just kind of picked up the camera. She's getting into it, and I was trying to encourage her just about, the possibilities of, hey, like, you can really find your voice in this. And also, as a career, there's, good amount of money to be made. You can make a name for yourself in that industry. And she told me that, she feels like she's not creative enough, and that it's something that she struggles with when she's thinking about whether or not to kind of pursue that more. So, very long-winded, but I don't know. I just really want to address that because we are created with so many different talents, gifts. We're created with imagination as children. It's so funny. A movie just came out called If with Ryan Reynolds.
Love Ryan.
Stands for imaginary friend. And I think even that is just like such a testament to just being a child and being innocent and being just imaginative and creative, to be able to like have an imaginary friend that you, whether or not you have a visual representation of that in your head, you talk to someone, you create dialogue with somebody as a kid. I know I did. I know so many people have. So I don't know. I just want to address that and just tell you guys, if you're struggling with that as of now, if you think that you aren't creative at all, you are. Whether it's creating spreadsheets of some sort at a corporate job, whether you're a salesman, woman, and you're creating packages and guiding people into deals that are going to benefit them better, or whether you're a touring musician like Brandan, you have creative gifts that were given to you by God for a reason, and they're there. And I think the difference between someone who is relatively successful and someone who is maybe just starting out is just taking action on those, writing down your ideas, having people around you that push you to take action on those ideas you write down. So just want to encourage you guys that you are creative. We all are.
Even as a creative, obviously my piano and my guitar are right behind us, so probably when people think about me, that's like the first two things, or the singing or whatever, that they think about in terms of like me being creative. But part of like incarnational living and living on earth is that we are constantly able to create moments, friendships, conversation, questions, rest, chaos, cosmos, order, pandemonium. Like, we're all constantly creating, whether we want to or not. We're creating emotions in other people. I used to ask a question in college a lot, Ben, I'll ask you right now. What's the most beautiful thing you've ever created? What's funny is I've asked like hundreds of people that question, and the only people who ever actually answer with, and think of your own answer right now. Most of the time, the only people who think of like a tangible output are people who really don't work in creative fields. Like those of us who are, you're a visual creative, I'm an audio creative. If we can like compartmentalize, like mine is a moment with my grandfather before he died. Like I was super exhausted. My mom called, she was like, hey, you need to come see Papa. And I was like, I just gotten out of like a 12-hour studio day, much like today. And I did not want to go. But I created time. I ended up playing Amazing Grace for him on the guitar, which is his favorite song. And he wept, and like it was the last time I ever saw the man.
Wow.
And I didn't know that was going to be the last time I saw the guy. But
yeah.
Creativity is about making choices, I think, to an extent. Like, we're not just creative because we write something or paint something or sing something or edit something. We're creative because of how we choose to interact with the world. Which, while you were talking, reminded me of some really good quotes. Do you know Pablo Picasso? In case you're not familiar with Pablo Picasso, probably the greatest artist of the 20th century.
Huge painter guy.
Yeah.
And artist.
Big paint boy. He was Spanish. Two of my favorite quotes of all time come from him. The first one is, every child is born an artist. The trouble is remaining one when we grow up. And the second quote he had was, when I was a kid, my mother told me, Pablo, whatever you want to be when you grow up, you'll become that and more. If you want to be a monk, you'll become the Pope. If you want to be a soldier, you'll become the general. But instead, I decided I wanted to be an artist. And so I became Picasso.
Interesting.
I love that quote. And it's not about being an artist. It's about like living into who we're created to be.
Which was himself.
Yeah. And when you're living into yourself, you're actually being like more creative, obviously. Another thing it made me think about was like the story of Peter walking on the water. And this is actually the topic we're talking about today, something I'm really passionate about. I have a bunch of books over here.
Yeah.
That are like things that have influenced how I think about this topic.
Beautiful home, by the way.
Thank you.
Love the setup. Yeah.
Thank you. I rent.
Hey, a home isn't something you own. It's a place that you dwell and make your own, bro.
I was homeless for 4 years, so this is a new thing for me. I lived
living out of your car?
Yeah, I traveled 330 days a year. Slept out of my car.
Wild.
So I didn't sleep in my car that often. I slept with other people slept at other people's houses mostly.
We get it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
This book, Walking on Water, Reflections on Faith and Art, by Madeline L'Engle, who wrote A Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah.
We're familiar. Became a movie. Incredible read. Really has influenced the way I look at creativity, art, songwriting, writing, faith, the world, walking through it all. She makes this amazing point in this book about the story of Peter walking on the water, which is what we call it. It could just as easily be called the story of Peter sinking into the water and almost drowning.
True, because that happened as well.
That happened as well.
Yeah.
She makes the point that Peter didn't start sinking until he remembered that we've forgotten how to walk on water. Which is so fat. Like, we've forgotten how to walk on water.
He remembered that.
Like, we should know how to walk on water. I know that sounds super wacky, but like, if we believe Jesus was the Son of God and was God and was made into flesh and then lived, walking on the water is not that crazy of a thing.
No, not really.
So we've forgotten how. But I just think it's a great point.
It's kind of just a walk in the park at that point.
She makes a dope point. It's like he remembered that we forgot. I think that's super fascinating. So like we forget that we're born creative. We're created in the image of a creator, so we're created to create. We just forget that. super sad.
I think it's another interesting point. It's funny you bring that up too, because it's a perfect example of, you know, someone who's watching, listening. You might be like, well, how do I not forget? You know, how do I not forget that I'm creative? Not forget skills that I have, whatever it is, and what's a practical way to like move through life with inspiration. And I think Peter's a great example. Obviously, he failed and fell in the water. But before that happened, the reason he succeeded, quote unquote, and walked on the water is because he was just fixing his eyes on Jesus, on the Creator. And I think it's as simple as that. And I think that's the thing that I continually have to remind myself and be reminded of by the community that surrounds me, is when I'm not fixing my eyes on God, when I'm not practically living and pursuing that relationship with Jesus that we're so gracefully given the ability to have, still blows my mind. It's so easy to get caught up in the lies of the world and the enemy, and so easy to believe that we really don't have the skills that it takes. The amount of times, bro, that I sit down and truly believe that I do not have what it takes to lead a team on a meeting, to finish a documentary film, to even edit a simple reel together. The amount of times that happen is crazy, where I truly sit there, and because I'm not connected to the Father, I'm just like in that moment, I just allow that to mull over me, and then I like don't do it because I have that fear of, oh, well, I don't have what it takes to do it. And in reality, it's just so simple. Fix your eyes on Jesus, know who you are, who you're called to be, and then just run boldly. Do whatever you're called to do boldly. Just go and take action, take steps.
Yeah, and I have a lot of friends and fans who aren't Christians. So I think even for those of you that are in that, obviously, Ben, sounds like you're a follower of Christ.
Yeah, I'm a believer in
I have a
Jesus.
relationship with Jesus too. If that's not you, there's still a lot to be learned in our world by living boldly, and by the way I would put it is by stepping off the boat, because like the boat is comfortable. By stepping off the boat, obviously we believe if you step off the boat and you're not looking at Jesus, you're going to sink. But we also believe that when you sink, he's going to pick you up. And so I'm a huge proponent. Everyone, no matter your walk of life, no matter your faith background, what you believe today, what you don't believe, taking the chance to walk on the water is a heck of a lot more exciting than
actually walking on it.
Oh, I was going to say staying in the boat.
Both.
I don't know. Walking on the water is pretty...
It's pretty tight.
Electric. I've never literally done that, but I feel like I've been figuratively doing it for 5 years, so...
Same.
And sinking a lot.
Same. I was just saying, I think stepping off the boat initially is a little bit more exciting.
It's definitely harder.
Very, very difficult. I kind of like live my life in a way where I seek out like uncomfortability.
Same.
And it's not necessarily an adrenaline rush, but it's just, I think, really cool to seek that uncomfortability and then, you know, find what's on the other side of it.
Yeah.
You know, and grow through that.
Growth mindset.
Growth mindset, bro.
Yeah, totally, man. It's also just like, none of the great stories are lived in a cubicle. They're... a plot requires difficulty and challenge. So I'm not super interested in like not having a story to tell with my life. So that's part of the reason I seek discomfort. Another reason for me is like my faith is important to me, and I want to do. I want to live by faith, and I find that if I'm comfortable, I'm doing a lot of things in my own that I can do.
Yeah.
Just like factually, I can handle them. So like, no big deal.
Yeah. Just another day.
Yeah.
Speaking of stories, though, I want to talk about your story a little bit, touring across the country. As you said, stepping out in faith, stepping out like in discomfort. Yeah, I guess. What was like the biggest challenge What was like the biggest challenge that you had doing that, like traveling across the country?
The initial jump or the touring?
The touring in general, like living in your car and touring for that period of time. How long was that period of time again?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. There was 2020 in there, but even that year I was on the road like 250 days. Mm-hmm. Maybe 300, I don't know.
You averaged about 300 days on the road,
I averaged
correct?
about 300, yeah. Mm-hmm. And for 3 of the years I was gone 330 days.
Shoot.
And then there was 2020.
How many miles have you traveled?
Dude,
so
not
far?
as many as you'd think.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's like 172 or something like that. 172,000.
Oh, 1,000.
Yeah.
Not 172 miles?
That would be like a week in LA, right? That's like, if you have friends on the west side and we're in Hollywood right now, then like...
Just back and forth. Not even a week. That's like 2 days maybe.
Exactly, yeah. It's not that much.
172,000, okay.
It's not as much as you think, because I didn't have a commute. And a commute takes up a lot of people's mileage, or it accumulates quickly. So it's not as many miles as you'd think, but like all those are highway miles, all those are touring miles, all those are work miles. If the IRS is watching, didn't catch me today, because they are in fact all work miles.
Yeah.
But I didn't write them all off, just most of them, because they are all work miles. Speaking straight to my IRS agent right now.
While we're at it, I'll speak to my IRS agent. All my flights that I take, 90% of my flights that I take that I write off are legitimate.
Dude, everything I write off is my understanding of legitimate, for sure.
It's 100% legitimate. Yeah.
Self-employed, baby.
It is. Let's go. That's what happens when you are your own boss.
100%. It's also you.
And your clients are everywhere.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Schedule a meeting when you go on a flight.
There you go. That's a hack. Come back for part 2 of this episode. We're going to be talking about finance, bro, stuff.
I love talking about economics for business people, or for economics for music. It's like, I've been a full-time artist since the day I graduated.
Biggest economic hack, or biggest economic piece of advice for musicians. Go.
Go on tour and don't go home.
You heard it here first. I don't know if that's legit or not. I'm not a musician.
It's
but
legit.
That's there legit. You go. If you're a musician,
I mean,
go on tour.
That is the answer, though. Like, the hardest thing was transitioning from having a lot given to me and provided for me, just in the sense, like, I was in college, so I had a meal plan.
Yeah.
I had a roof over my head. I had like a schedule, and I had success metrics.
Yeah.
Like, I get an A.
Yeah.
And then choosing to go down a route where really there's no such thing as success, because once you succeed, there's just another place to get. There's another success to get to. There is no like good job. Like, there's no, you get 10,000 streams on a song the first day, and it's like, that's not an A. It's 10,000. Could have been 11,000. You know,
could have been 100,000.
Yeah, or 1 million, or whatever. So there's no, and I'm a very success-driven, ambitious person, and so I went from having good jobs, pats on the back constantly, to that just doesn't exist anymore in my life. And I went from 3 meals a day, roof over my head, hot shower, to living out of my car, sleeping on couches, eating once a day. That's all I could afford. Wendy's 4 for $4, or get a Papa John's pizza and make it last 2 or 3
Little
days.
Papa J's action.
Play street music, make $10.
Yeah.
Go to Whataburger, treat myself to a honey butter chicken biscuit in Austin, Texas. Like whatever.
I feel like that's
I just went,
right there.
and the thing is, like at the time, it didn't even seem. Yeah, that was a real story. The thing is, at the time, it just didn't even seem hard. In retrospect, that's crazy.
That's a wild lifestyle to live.
In retrospect, playing to 15 people every night is crazy. Like, how delusional do you have to be? Or how faithful do you have to be?
I was about to say, yeah.
And what's the line?
What's the line? What's the difference?
I think the difference is what your motivation is, right? So if your motivation is your end goal, then it's probably delusion. If your motivation is what your eyes are fixed on, like you were saying earlier, then it's probably faithfulness. For me, it's a battle constantly. That's always been a battle. It's still a battle. But yeah, hardest thing touring initially was just making it work financially, because I've never had funding. I've never had a record label. I've never had any of that. It's always been totally independently funded and managed. And
yeah, is that a goal of yours to get to that point, or are you someone who loves
I'm
being
currently
independent?
deciding through if I would like to sign and eventually, but for right now, where I'm at, I think I'm really good at business, so I think I'd like to see if I can basically just like run my own label that's just me.
Get your streams up, get to a point where
I'd like to get the streams to a point
residual
where I'm like paying for my life off of streams.
Yeah.
And right now everything's being funded through touring and sweatshirts. So
it's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool to be able to say. I think one of the things that always continues to spur me on, and spurred me on like when I was first getting into photography, video. There's always, like, for me at least, like there's always a client at kind of each level that you're at as you grow, as you level up in your skill set and what you offer. There's, in our market especially, there's always a client that's willing to pay for that, you know? And so I'm really thankful for the diversity of market there, because it allowed me to make money and basically satisfy my needs, like, as I grew.
Let's go.
You know, through my career. So
have you worked part-time jobs recently in any way?
Have I?
Yeah. Like part-time non-creative adjacent jobs.
The last job that I worked was from like late 2019 to early 2022, and as the creative director and did marketing, I guess. I don't know exactly what my title was. Did a lot of creative things for a tech startup.
Nice.
So that was a full overtime job with the tech startup salary. And I was still doing like freelance work as well.
Wow.
So it was a lot, definitely a lot. But other part-time jobs that I haven't had one since 2019.
Wow.
So
let's go.
Yeah. That weren't creatively involved.
Very lit.
Yeah. So,
very,
but
very
that's
lit.
what I say is, or that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, through that whole journey, you know, back when I was paying $300 in rent in Indiana, and my expenses were total probably $750 across the board with everything, or less. You know, I had a couple gigs a month that got me maybe $300 to $500 each. And then I had a great creative agency / company that I worked with, and was able to work and get like, you know, $1,200 a month from them. Nice. And I look at that now and I'm like, that's still a good amount of money, but obviously I'm at a different point in life now where just that amount of money probably wouldn't suffice for me. But at that point, it did. And I had clients that trusted me at that point. So I think the levels are really cool. And so for someone that's maybe just starting out, I guess just be encouraged by that in the creative realm, whether it's in music, photo, video, as an artist. I think because of how saturated our market is and diverse our market is when it comes to just the creative world, and how encouraging our culture is in that right now, there's a lot of ways that you can make cash here and there from it.
Yes. How do you feel about the narrative of overnight successes in the creative industry?
What narrative?
That it exists?
That it exists? I don't believe like overnight success is like it exists. Is it the regular thing? No. I think even in overnight success, if you don't have a way to support the responsibilities that come with that success, then obviously it fails at one point or another after you get it. But I think overnight success just comes down to opportunities that you've been given and the ability to take advantage of it. People that you know, and your ability to take advantage of a network that you get into or get introduced to. So it can definitely happen. Obviously, I'm not going to be a pessimist and say it won't ever happen to you. It won't ever happen to anybody listening. But also it's good to be real with yourself and just be like, okay, what are my goals? How much money, in financially talking, like how much money do I need to like make rent this month? Okay, is it feasible for me to go out and make $1,200 from shooting photos of people in 30 days? Can I go make $1,200? Pretty feasible at this point. If you have a camera, you're good at relationship building. Pretty feasible.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
I think that's just a cool reality that we live in.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of music, though, how did you come about your style and
My musical style?
musical style? Yeah, it's very. I mean, your voice is unique for sure.
That was a birthday present.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the first birthday.
The first one, yeah.
Stuck with you all throughout your life.
What do
yeah,
you think
voice-
is unique about my voice?
Well,
interesting.
I'm not a musician per se, so I can't necessarily put technical terms on it.
No, that's okay.
But
But it sounds unique to you.
sounds unique for
Fascinating.
sure. I think from other people I've talked to as well, it's definitely a unique voice in the sense that you have those deep tones, and you're able to resonate with people on an emotional level.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
because
yeah.
you allow, is it called vibrato maybe?
I do have vibrato.
There it is.
I have a hell of a lot of vibrato.
The vibrato.
Vibrato
I
is
think that's-
definitely like the thing
Yeah.
that people talk. One of my favorite stories.
How did you figure
from-
that out, like that you had it though?
One of my favorite stories from, I'll tell you that in a second, but from tour is I play a lot of Young Life camps,
Okay.
which is a ministry,
Mm-hmm.
but like a very rad one, very chill one. Their kind of thing is like, I don't know what the national thing is, but like the people I know in the ministry and like how I understand it is like, let's show young people that living life with Jesus is actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
And I'm into that. I like that.
Same.
I like that a lot because
Love
that
it.
is that I believe that, you know. So I was doing one of those camps, and I sing with a lot of vibrato. If you don't know who I am, which you may not.
You may not. I mean, go listen to his stuff. It's a fun time.
I
You'll
sing
probably
with
connect with it if you're
and
a sad
vibrato.
boy.
If you're not familiar, is the shaky. It's like Post Malone, you know, like the shaky thing. And I was playing a song. Am I allowed to play songs?
Yeah, go for it.
That seemed so like premeditated. It was not.
Yeah, we planned all of this actually. You have a set list?
Yeah, I never have a set list. So when I sing, it's like, I'm grieving, closer to knowing the feeling of loving and losing everything. And just when I think that I'm through, I wake up thinking of you. So I think I was playing that exact song.
Yeah.
And this kid walked up to me after, and he's like, hey man, I just want to thank you. Like, I could tell you were nervous up there, and it means a lot that like you're sharing even though you're nervous, and like I deal with a lot of nerves, so like it meant a lot to see you getting through it. And so when he said like I'm dealing with a lot of nerves, I was like, okay, this is not the time to tell him like I wasn't nervous at all. I'm almost never nervous on stage. I've done this, at that point I'd done this like 350 times. I'm very comfortable. That song is very comfortable for me to play.
Yeah. Was that one of your first songs you wrote?
No.
Okay.
But
at this point you're like,
this is like 3 years in, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I was very comfortable on stage, and yeah, I just sing with vibrato. So I literally asked him, I was like, dude, thank you, that means so much. Like, it's all, I'm glad you like worked through your nerves, like that's big, whatever. I don't know what I said something stupid probably. And I was like, what made you think I was nervous? And he was like, oh, your voice shakes a lot when you sing. And I was like, ah, yes, thank you. I was like, vibrato, dude. Like, it's like a very cool thing, actually. It actually takes a lot of control to do that.
Yeah, you're like, it takes a lot of skill for me to get up there and
But
rip
the
it.
vibrato is something I've always naturally had, so that is literally a birthday present.
Yep.
And actually, at the beginning of my career, I was discouraged from using it by some people.
Because it wasn't clean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sort of.
They had reasons, and they might have been right at the time.
I mean,
at the time, they said
it
I
can be
didn't.
overused. Can be.
I don't think so, because I use it all the time now, and people love it, dude. I think like whatever people like think is right is generally just right for now, and then eventually it's not right anymore. Like for example, pop music has no acoustic guitars. That's the case for 10 years. Now everyone's like, let's make country music, and it's like, oh, so that was right, and now it's not right anymore.
Yeah.
And so
Let's
I
just
feel
Post
like
Malone did it, so now everybody's like, yeah,
I
bro.
love Post Malone, man. I was raised in Georgia, so I've been listening to country music since the day I was born. Been listening to folk music since my dad raised me on like Jim Croce, James Taylor, John Denver. Taylor Swift is the reason I picked back up the guitar in middle school, the reason I wrote my first song, the reason I chose to do this as a job. So like the folk tradition, which I would say she's...
you're a Swiftie back here.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I don't know if I'm a Swiftie. I don't know how much...
What's the difference?
It's a conversation for another time, but I'm...
You either are part of the cult or you're not.
I love Taylor. Like, Taylor Swift is like my favorite artist. She's had a huge impact in my life, and like I would love to thank her one day, but just...
Well, hopefully you get the opportunity.
I think I will. I pray I will, but you know, I don't know how much I associate with some of the hysteria. You know what I mean?
You don't wear the friendship bracelets?
I don't wear her friendship bracelets. I do wear my friendship bracelet that people give me. But point being, I think my sound was always inside of me, and what I'm making now is what I was always feeling, but I didn't have the vocabulary, the abilities, the skills to create it, and I knew I needed to develop myself as an artist and develop my voice as an artist, not my singing voice, but like when I say my voice,
What you have to say.
What I have to say. So my perspective, my choices on what I'm going to talk about and how I'm going to present what I want to present.
Yeah.
It took living life, really, to discover that. So my present voice which I guess I'm So Tired embodies, but
It's
like
one of your newer songs, right?
my most new song.
Newest.
Yeah, so the rest, yeah, newest, most new, newest.
I mean, most new works
yeah,
as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
Grammar,
so, technically.
English.
It's been a long time getting here, but the whole time what we've been chasing in songwriting and in production is we've been trying to catch up to my live show, which is the emotion you're talking about. Like, it just cuts through. And like, we were talking about Lizzie McAlpine's concert because we both went to that.
Yeah.
Great
So
show.
good.
Great show.
One of my favorites.
Amazing show.
Yeah.
And so we're
really
talking,
captivated the audience, I think.
she did. And we were talking about how like people didn't pick up their phones.
Yep.
And that's, I think,
crazy moment for a concert these days, because normally you just have like, not everybody on their phones, but majority of people are like, I want to remember this moment, so they'll like pull out their phone, and it's just nuts. Like, I remember multiple times where I was looking around and she had everybody captivated to the point where, like, these aren't like full-blown adults, like it's like teenagers, young adults, like 5 people had their phone out recording. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. And so
Crazy.
that's what I've been able to do at my show for probably 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask anyone around LA, any of our friends who were at my show at the Moroccan, like, that's what they'll tell you. Like, that's what I had multiple people come up and tell me is that's the first time for an hour and a half I haven't even thought about my phone. Like, people weren't even thinking about their phones because they were so in the moment. And the whole room was that way at my show. And that's how it is at a lot of my shows. And what I love about that is, like, we're creating an atmosphere that, to me, is hopefully hinting at a little bit of heaven, hinting at like true community and
like
true
that.
unity and real heavy authenticity.
Yeah.
But also juxtaposing that with laughter and enjoyment of life. And it's been and I think we finally figured out how to capture that in songwriting and production. And now that I've done that, I'm taking the next step and I'm trying to figure out how to do that on the internet.
Ooh. Sounds like some big stuff coming then.
The album's amazing. Will the internet
Can't wait to hear it.
Will the internet Brandan be able to do it justice? I don't know, but I hope so.
Yeah, all you can do is try, right?
Yeah. So to answer your question succinctly, what I was raised listening to, touring, living life, getting my heart broken, and trying to figure out how to write and record up to the performance. 'Cause I'm a good live performer. My strength is the live show.
Yeah.
And we've been chasing that. So.
Do you feel like doing the live shows gave you, well, maybe you already answered it, but gave you confidence in the writing and the production? Like, it, instead of going, oh, I'm just going to hang out in my room and produce for a bunch and then maybe try to go play live, you were like, oh, I'm just going to go and put myself out there.
Yeah.
And then kind of everything came after.
Yeah, it did. I think the choice to go out and do it was, I didn't have a choice. I had to make money. It was the only way to make money. And I was committed to doing it full time. Like, when I decided to do it, I was deciding I'm doing music.
Yeah.
I'm not Uber driving in music. I'm not barista in music.
Your side gig is music, just in a different
Which
place.
I respect those people. I'm not hating on that at all. That's such a grind. It's a grind that I knew if I accepted a salary or a paycheck, I wouldn't be able to get out of it.
Yep.
Because
It
good job.
comes down to knowing yourself. Yeah, like you were saying.
I knew that if
think
I was
same for me.
getting pats on the back, I wouldn't be able to get
Comfortable,
out.
man.
So
It's
I
comfortable.
had to burn the boats and go out on the water.
Same.
And
I agree. Same for me with
yeah,
college. I
really.
dropped out after 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was
Indianapolis,
just
University of Indianapolis.
University of Indianapolis, baby. UND
Indianapolis.
Greyhounds.
Yeah, go Hounds.
Go Hounds. But not technically an alumni because I dropped out. But no, it's the same thing. I realized that the person that I was becoming was a person of comfortability and someone who I saw myself kind of getting dragged into that. And the only way that I saw not to get it sucked in was to go full tilt, like the other way.
Burn the boats.
You know? So, and it's like, it was a tough decision, obviously. I had opportunities to go to college. Someone wanted to pay for my college. Like, it wasn't a financial thing.
It's kind of like
at the end of the
rappers when
day,
they get the
but-
face tattoo.
Yeah, man, you just gotta
They're
jump
not getting
in.
a normal job after that.
No.
They're committed to the
You're
grind.
committed to the grind. You're
Post
committed to
Malone,
the craft.
Committed to the grind.
Yeah.
Gucci Mane.
Committed.
What about us? No
I feel
face
like
tattoos.
we got to get face tats now.
I'm not getting a face. I don't have any tattoos. So, but that was one thing, was like I had to make money.
Yeah.
The second thing was I did it to live by faith, so I wanted to do the most uncomfortable thing, which was not sitting in my room.
Yeah.
Also, when I started doing it, that wasn't really a thing. Like, I guess it was, but not to the extent of now. Like, now that's what you do, is you, if you want to become a musician, you make TikToks, right? It wasn't really, at least it wasn't the dominant narrative back then.
Legitimately, in the past 2.5, 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Ever since, like, right after COVID.
Yeah, everything's changed a lot. I think one of my biggest regrets is I haven't like kept up with that. Like, I've been so busy running the business and touring that I haven't like stayed on top of like how the industry's evolving.
Yeah. I think you're slowly growing a very committed audience, though.
And that's the thing, is I know that in 15 years I'm still going to be doing this
Yeah.
because I'm doing it in a sustainable way.
Yep.
I don't know that for people that are just building something on social media. I think unless you're out there like really interacting with your fans, it can fade really quickly.
Oh, definitely can if you stop posting.
Yeah, or your audience
Stop
ages out.
posting. Yeah, it ages out for sure.
So
People decide to hop on a trend of deleting social media. You're
exactly,
done.
which hopefully we all do.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
I deleted off my phone. I'm an iPad kid now. I have an iPad that I have things on, I post on, and
Angry
keep
Birds?
on top of. No Angry Birds.
Temple Run?
No Temple Run.
Oh.
I keep it. Try to
Only
keep it
two
clean.
games I know. I don't play any games.
You ever
Maybe-
played Flappy Bird?
Is that the one where you tap the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played that back in the day, I think.
Highest score 276, which is fairly
that
high?
high?
I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played 2048 a lot in high school.
Oh, that was a big one. Yeah.
I was pretty good.
Played
Well,
that when you were just super bored.
Played that in math class because then I could say I was doing math.
Same.
I was pretty sneaky with it. BC calculus,
Oh, that's funny.
5 on the exam.
I want to switch up a little bit and
Great.
talk about.
I'm following your lead.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about, like, feeling the pressure to perform and like forced creativity rather than allowing it to come naturally. What's your take on that?
Feeling the pressure to perform or to produce?
To perform as in create something. So whether that is creating a moment live and performing, or performing in the production studio and finishing this album that you're working on, right? Like the pressure to perform. How much is too much pressure? We'll start there.
That was distracting me. Music's weird because there's so many distinct levels of creation. Because there's writing, and then there's production, and there's releasing, and there's performing live, which in my brain are at least 3 separate things.
Okay.
Because I'm constantly writing. I don't feel any pressure to write.
Yeah.
Because I'm writing about my life. I'm writing to understand myself and my emotions. And I'm listening more than anything. I feel like creativity is, in large part, is listening. I'm usually sitting down and playing how I feel. And then I'm trying to sing something. And then something comes out. And I'm like, I like that. And then I'm listening, like, what does that mean? Like, what did I actually just sing about? And then I'm listening more about, like, where do I take it next? So The writing side, I don't feel any pressure because I don't have a publishing deal. I'm not writing for other artists, right?
Yeah.
I do think when you go on like a co-write, there's definitely like pressure
Yep.
that like you want to produce, like get a song. But at this point, I've been writing so much that like pretty much every time I go on a co-write, I'm confident we're going to get a song. Like as long as one of us is going through something, we're going to get a song.
Yeah. Yeah.
If both of us are just living like really boring lives, then maybe we won't. But that's usually not the case.
Another reason to live uncomfortably.
Yeah, and a lot at least like the way I write music is like living life. Or you can just live like someone else's story, like your friend's story, and write based on that. And then I'll go to performance next. My performance is all about not performing, frankly. Like,
Yeah, you mentioned not having a set list.
no set list,
Yeah.
no plan. I know the first song I'm going to play, and I usually know the last song I'm going to play.
And then everything in between is just kind of like,
Feeling
do
the
whatever.
room.
Yeah.
Literally just like, what does the room need? How do I get the room where I want the room to be? What do I want the room to be? United. That's literally it.
yeah.
The best way to get a room united is with energy. But
Yeah.
if the room is hell-bent on being bored, then fine. We can be united in being bored. Like, that's fine. As long as we're united, we're winning. Like, that's what I've learned. Like, sometimes I think a show went horribly because people are just like, or
But
whatever.
in reality, that's just
And then
how
they walk up
enjoy.
after like, that was the best concert I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Which, to be fair, when I go to a concert, that's all I do. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just listening.
You're
enjoy.
not the fan that's wanting to sing along to the songs.
Not usually. I sing
Yeah.
along at a Taylor Swift concert. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lizzie McAlpine concert, I was just listening.
Same.
She's been top 5 on my Wrapped for
Yeah.
several years in a row. So, or a few years in a row, I guess.
Yeah, everybody enjoys art, enjoys music in a different
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of it's knowing that, right? Like,
Yeah.
And so, because my performance on the stage is so tied to who I am, and it's very authentic, and it's very just conversational, frankly, like that, I don't feel any pressure there. Where I do feel pressure is the pressure to steward the songs I've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Is the best way to put it, I think, because like I believe that the songs I'm writing, I don't want to say they're from God, because then that I feel like that's a little much, maybe, but they're in collaboration with God. Like,
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think
They're ideas that
anytime,
he's
I think
given you.
anyone that's creating, Christian or not, is creating in collaboration with God.
Yeah, I like that.
Rick Rubin,
I agree.
book up there. Rick Rubin has the book The Creative Act that everyone reads in LA, and it's about the source, like giving
Mm-hmm.
ideas and inspiration. I agree with him. I just think that source has a name.
Yep.
And his name is Jesus, right? But like, I do believe that fully. And
Drops the Bible.
yeah, exactly.
His name is Jesus.
Yeah, very Baptist.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
background coming through. Yeah, I'm very confident that God is working through the arts. And because of that, I think where my faith really falls short is then trusting him with the production and the release of the songs. Because like, oh my gosh, I have this amazing song with this amazing message that could change lives, save lives, impact lives. Ugh, I have to make it good.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like, and I know I can make it good with just my guitar in a room with people. I have to make it good for a 3-second attention span on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
For streaming, but also on social media. And that's the big thing now it's not just a pressure to do those things that are actually a part of my art. Now, then the big pressure I feel, especially recently, that's like a burden. It's like an anvil on my shoulders that I'm constantly carrying everywhere I go, whether I'm thinking about creating merch or writing or finishing the album or just hanging out with you for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking about, oh my gosh, in the morning I need to film a TikTok for this song.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that's unnatural, unhealthy, untrue, and boring to
Like
complain
untrue
about.
to you as a person because you don't normally think about.
No, it's untrue. You don't have to do that.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not like a rule of life.
What's the consequence of not doing that? That's the question.
You just have to work harder to make your fans. Because I haven't done it for 5 years, and I'm doing it full time. So
Yeah.
the consequence of not doing it is you just have to work harder. This is like one of my friends has this. He's like, most people don't want to hear this, but the answer is work harder.
That's
Like,
what all the finance
for
bros
me
will
with
tell you.
content, like why have I not succeeded on TikTok and Instagram? I haven't worked that hard at it.
Yeah.
I can say the algorithms aren't nice to me, but really I just need to work harder.
Yeah.
Like, I've been working hard on other stuff. It's not like I haven't been working hard, but
Yeah, consistency in things.
so I
brings
feel a lot
results.
of pressure to steward what I've been given. So for a year and a half, it's been like, how can I steward these songs to get them produced? And now it's I need to steward the releases, and in stewarding releases, that means stewarding content, creating content.
Yeah.
So I feel a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of pressure for that right now, honestly.
Makes sense. Something out, it seems like it's something outside of your comfort zone too. So not only do you have pressure, but then you
Yeah, dude,
have
I can talk to a crowd all day long. This destroys me. Like talking to a phone. That wasn't me. I'm on Do Not Disturb. I didn't see any notifications.
Meanwhile, my phone's just vibrating left and right now.
It's 1:17 a.m.
I don't know why it's vibrating left
Yeah,
and
like,
right.
maybe you should
but
check that out, actually.
Yeah, maybe it's the homies over in Bali who are still up.
This is
But-
weird, but I have a bug bite. I need to put some Neosporin on it. It's itching.
Go for it, bro. Go for it. No, I mean, commenting back on that though, I think it makes sense that not only do you feel pressure to do it, but it makes it even harder because you're not like comfortable in it. You haven't practiced, put in the man hours, like you said, like worked hard for it. And I would tend to agree with that statement. I think Lazy Ben would disagree and say, no, I just haven't had the right opportunities yet.
Right.
But then you really get down to the brass tacks of, okay, what have you actually practiced and what have you put hours into? And the things that you truly put hours into, you look and see that you have made progress. It doesn't mean that just because you put hours, specific number of hours, means you're going to get any specific amount of progress, because you factor in mental health, you factor in skill, you factor in all these human things that we encounter. But the fact remains that when you do work harder, it accelerates that success more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk to any great athlete, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan for basketball, Wayne Gretzky for hockey. We'll go down the list. Baseball, you're a baseball player. Give me a baseball player.
Mike Trout.
Mike
Ronald
Trout.
Acuna,
All of them are going to tell you the exact same thing, that you just need to work harder.
Shohei Ohtani.
Doesn't mean grind harder necessarily.
Interesting.
It means work harder. And something I've learned a lot consistently, and I like thank God that I have people in my life, friends that teach me this through not only like words but mostly actions, is the consistent work.
Working hard's about rhythms too.
Oh yeah, so much
Like,
about rhythms.
if you actually have regimented rhythms, you can't not work hard. Like Kobe Bryant, infamously hard worker. His rhythms were like, I wake up at 3:30, I'm in the gym by 4. I've worked out. I've done a whole day before 6 a.m. When most people's whole day, I'm done before 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I'm with my kids. And then I'm going to basketball. And then I'm working out again. And then I've got the game. It's like crazy. Like Kobe mama mentality was crazy. But
Yeah.
like,
But he set
had
himself up
rhythms.
for success with those rhythms. Yeah.
So it's not even like that hard once you have the regimented schedule, which is what I need to build in for content. It's like 2 hours of research, hour of creation, or vice versa, or whatever.
But again, in order to build those rhythms, it just takes action,
Yeah.
like conscious action. That's where the
Yeah.
consistency comes in, is taking conscious action in the things that you want to get better at.
For a long time.
Very long
Bono.
time.
It's one of my favorite memoirs. Two of my favorite memoirs back there. Bruce Springsteen, Bono. Two absolute ballers of men and musicians. I don't know if it's Bono's quote, but it's definitely in his book. To achieve anything of greatness, it takes... Oh, I'm going to butcher it. Basically, to achieve anything of greatness, it takes a continued effort in the same direction for a long amount of time. Towards the same objective. Like,
so going back to your question to me that you posed about overnight success.
oh, yes.
What's your take?
It's not real.
It's not real at all.
It's everyone's success is overnight eventually.
Like you just hit that. There's that point where the hard work has been going, consistency has been going, and then the opportunity hits that makes it look like it's overnight. That's what you're saying? Or
Yeah. Well,
Okay. think through
first
that.
of all, what is success? Like, do you have to be Starbucks or can you be Verve Coffee? So that's the question we first have to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Is like, as a musician, the lie you're told is to be successful, you have to be Starbucks, you have to be Taylor Swift, you have to be Ed Sheeran, you have to be Shawn Mendes. That's not true.
Yeah.
You can be John Michael,
Yep.
your buddy.
Yeah.
He's successful,
Yeah.
full-time living, making art.
You can be Brandan
You can be
Abernathy.
Brandan Abernathy
Yeah.
and be successful.
Yep.
Like, I am successful. I am paying rent. I am touring. I have fans. I am selling merch. I am creating the album I want to create. It's not to the extent I want it to be. It's not sustainable if I were to have a family, but like it will be if I
Yeah.
just keep going. So my point is, like, eventually, God willing, more people will learn who I am, and it will be like a sudden thing, like a song will go viral, or like the social media following will continue to grow, and then all these people will be like, who is this? And then there will be like a community that will be like, oh my gosh, this guy came out of nowhere. Over to that group, you're overnight. But I've been doing it for 5 years. I've been playing house shows for 5 years. I've been playing to 5 people. Like, to people who came to my Moroccan show, they're probably like, wow, like, his show is so good. That's because it was really bad for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I played to 5 people and figured out how to perform.
Yep.
And that's true in any field, any discipline. Chris Stapleton played Atlanta for 10 years to 70 people. 10 years.
It's a long grind.
10. Like, this like, and honestly, this like, even like pseudo overnight, like even Olivia Rodrigo, that idea is so new, so new. And in reality, Olivia Rodrigo acted for 10 years. She was in the industry. Like,
Yeah.
she's not an overnight success. She worked really hard to get there. And Noah Khan, like, overnight. He's not an overnight
no,
success.
no chance,
He's
yeah.
grinded for forever. Zach
Yeah.
Bryan grinded for all these people that are like overnight successes are not overnight successes.
I think we obviously see that as people when we're in the group that sees that overnight success. You just look at the metrics.
Yeah.
Right. And if someone gains an insane amount of metrics in a short amount of time, then it seems overnight because you don't necessarily see all of the metrics for
But
the
that's
10
how
years,
it has
but-
to, like, it
Yeah.
has to do that.
Yeah.
Like, this has been me for 5 years.
Well, again,
And
it
then
comes down to
eventually,
like
hopefully, or it'll just, keep. That's
well,
fine.
it comes down to the point I made earlier when you asked me the question, because I was saying with overnight success, if you are given overnight success and you haven't put in the time and the work to grow your value, whatever that value offering is, and you maybe have an overnight success on one thing, right? Say you happen to sit down with a really talented artist, songwriter, and they help you write a song and it's really great. And then you get time with the producer and they kind of help you make that great song. but you haven't put in the time yourself to be able to, again, like go through the life experiences to know how to write well, have the vocabulary to write well, whatever. You may have that song go viral, you get a lot of streams from it, maybe even get a lot of money from it, you know, go on Fallon, Jimmy Fallon, you know, get some little flowers here and there. But I'm just saying, even to that extent, you're still not going to be able to sustain that level of success afterwards with like your subsequent art, because you haven't put in the time to be able to make that level of art.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
yeah,
going to get recognized
or
appreciated.
I'm so
by
grateful I haven't made it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in my core that I'm hidden, that God is hiding me until I'm ready spiritually. Yes, musically I was not ready for a long time. Now I am. But spiritually, I don't think I was ready for a really long time. I think maybe I am.
But also, I was going to say, you don't know.
Be.
You also don't
you
know
don't know
because
until it hits, but like,
yeah.
I don't want to become an asshole, and I feel like most people, when they make it, they just become mega douchebags. And I have no interest in treating people poorly just because I have success, and because I've slept on 1,000 couches, and like have been provided.
You have a song about that?
Given. No.
1,000 couches?
No. Everyone asks
I don't know
about that, but
I don't know if that would be a
I don't know how to
good
write
song,
about it.
I feel like the title just hits.
I don't really like sit down with like, I'm gonna write about this today. I just like write about what I'm feeling, I guess.
Makes sense.
I've written about, I'm too old to be an actor, too young to buy a house. I was raised in a good family. Now I sleep on a couch.
Okay.
So like I've written about it, but not like.
But not a full-fledged.
I've slept on 1,000 couches. I've drank up more beer.
You just quantify everything in the song by 1,000.
I've slept on 1,000 couches. I have crushed 1,000 beers. This is Spindrift, by the way.
Oh, that's funny.
Not beer. I do like beer, though.
Beer's good. What's your favorite?
Oh, my goodness.
You ever had Spotted Cow?
I have.
My
so Midwest
God,
of you.
dude. Yeah.
Nice.
It's that Wisconsin beer.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
I've had it in Indiana, actually.
Through somebody.
A guy had it in his fridge. He had
yeah.
only Spotted Cow in his fridge.
It's a smart man right there.
And it was in West Lafayette.
Makes total sense.
Purdue. I'm a big fan of that town, actually.
The Boilermakers.
Yeah.
I'm not a
loss for the fellas in the finals this year.
Tough loss. I'm not a huge fan of them, unfortunately.
I hear that a lot from people from Indiana.
Well, I have beef because both my parents went to the Ohio State University. And
y'all lost the Supreme Court thing on that, by the way. So.
Oh, for the trademark? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm sad you told me that. I'm still going to be delusional about it, though.
You can say it.
Anyway, we lost a certain football game like 6-7 years ago. And still salty about it.
That long ago.
Oh, yeah. Still salty.
Yeah. How about Peach Bowl 2022?
Peach Bowl 2022?
How do you feel about that game?
Oh, man, dude. I was on an airplane.
Wide left.
I was on an airplane flying to Zurich, Switzerland that very night, and I was watching the game somewhere over the Atlantic.
You want to know what's crazy?
I was pretty mad.
We were in the same country.
At that same time?
Yes.
You
I
were
was in
Switzerland.
Switzerland
No,
on
weren't.
January 1st, 2023.
Really?
Yes.
Doing what?
I was skiing with
On
a Young
what
Life
mountain?
area director.
What mountain?
I was on Zermatt.
I was literally there 3 days after that.
Zermatt. You were in Zermatt on the 4th?
Yep.
I was there the
No way.
I was there
dude.
the.
Don't-
I was there the 4th.
Don't
yeah.
F with me,
We
dude.
drove.
That's
we
crazy.
got on a train and went to Chamonix on the 4th.
That's crazy. We probably crossed
What is
paths,
this?
dude.
This is crazy.
That's wild. Zermatt,
Yes.
Switzerland, brothers. Yeah. I was up there. We took like this wild hike in the snow when we should have probably skied, but we hiked instead.
There was like no snow. You were fine.
It was like not a lot, but
Yeah,
we
it
were
was
hiking.
brutal.
We were up there.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, we celebrated New Year's Eve in Paris. It was like me and these two 40-year-old dudes.
Legend.
It was wonderful. Literally the way it happened, I like was walking around Bozeman, Montana with this guy Adam, and he was like, "Hey, you're a good hang." I was like, "Thanks, man." He was like, "Yeah, you should come to Europe and ski with my friends and me." And I was like, "Are your friends also 40?" And he was like, "Yep." And I said, "Sounds awesome." I'll let you know. And then like he followed up, and I was like, I have nothing else to do for New Year's Eve.
Why not?
So flew to Paris. We celebrated it.
That's
And
sick.
then that night, obviously the game was on New Year's Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and I made the decision to go to sleep and not watch it, which was really hard for me. Like I had trouble sleeping, thinking about the game.
Yeah.
And I woke up just,
Joyful.
I barked.
Yeah,
I barked in the
I
hotel
hate you.
room, and then we got on the train, and I just watched highlights like the whole time. And
Oh.
then we went skiing.
I was in a lot of pain
I
after that
understand.
day. Yeah.
We understand. Georgia fans understand. Just so you know, we're not.
No, I know.
we're
You've
not
had
Alabama
your
fans. We've had
Yeah.
our pain.
You've had your pain. I've seen it. You've gone through the trials, you know,
Yes.
to get to that overnight success that you experienced.
Literally, and then everyone forgot, and everyone revisionist histories us.
Well, it's
and is
because
like,
Georgia's forgettable.
Okay, that's fine. When's the last time y'all won a national championship?
2014. Oof. Yeah, it was a bit ago.
And who was your coach?
Urban Meyer.
Yeah, so barely counts.
What do you think about the Jim Tressel one?
Dude, were we even alive?
I was.
No, I was alive, but it's like I don't actually.
Are we
remember.
gonna, bro? We should make a sports section of this podcast.
I don't
Shouldn't we?
actually remember.
Created to create
Yeah,
sports.
I don't actually remember.
Also,
that
quick reminder,
national
guys:
championship.
if you're an athlete, you're creative. Just want to throw it out there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You ever seen Ant-Man drive the lane? It's beautiful.
Oh,
Creative.
dude, yeah. Anthony Edwards.
Or
MJ's
you ever seen
kid.
gymnasts? It's art, bro.
It's art. Yeah.
Hockey, skating,
Curling.
sure. Again, you're hitting me with this Midwest stuff, man. I
Man,
don't know.
curling,
Yeah,
dude,
that stuff.
curling? Are you kidding me?
I know what it is.
They gotta really carve that ice.
Yep, carve that ice.
That's what I'm saying.
Sculptures.
Use the broom. I'm interested to know, bro. Do you find it hard to find community in the lifestyle that you live?
No, actually.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's actually it's definitely a common question.
Yeah.
I was really blessed. I do have a habit of like people feel like they're my friend very quickly.
Okay.
So that was a benefit to me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have friends all over the country now, especially now. Yeah,
Oh, that's
I have
epic.
like amazing community in most states.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of states.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say most.
Have you been to all 50?
No, I think I've
Really?
been to 46.
Okay.
I think I've played in 40 or 38 or 39 or something like that. But yeah, I just took two friends on the road with me for the first time in April. We went up to Oregon and Washington, the Pacific Northwest, which has
W,
the best
PNW.
weather in the country. It's always sunny.
Always sunny in PNW.
It's always sunny when I'm there. I've literally never seen it rainy. So, and I've been in the winter before you get all sassy.
Funny enough, same. Whenever I go there, it's sunny. My friends will
That's
literally be like,
because it's a myth, and they're
Yeah, yeah.
trying to keep us away.
yeah, maybe. I still don't believe it because I have experienced the rain, the heavy rain, but
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it rain,
we'll agree to disagree.
but like, it rains everywhere. Like, what are we doing here? It's kind of like LA is not that sunny.
Oh, dude, yeah, it gets gloomy quite a bit.
tomorrow morning it's going to be cloudy. It's
Probably.
cloudy every morning.
Probably.
Anyway, I brought some friends on tour with me, and they were blown away with how, like, my tours feel like you're just in community the whole time. You're bouncing from community to community to community, but it feels cohesive. It's really weird. It's such a blessing from God. The hard thing for me was when I moved to LA-ish, of course, IRS.
Yep.
You know, I live here, but I don't actually live here enough for it to be my claimed residence.
For sure.
In the eyes of the California residence law.
So you had trouble finding community when you moved here?
Oh, yes.
Why?
That is a complicated question. I think
does that have to do with just dynamics of prior friendships before, or?
Part of it, I think, has to do with expectations of friendship and, like, what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I lived in one town, it was in a college town. And post-grad friendships are just different than that.
Yep.
So that was hard to adjust to. I was living in mid-city, so I wasn't far from anyone, but I also wasn't close to anyone. That had a lot to do with it. I couldn't find a church that I liked. That had a lot to do with it. Christians are inherently can be challenging to infiltrate friend groups. That had something to do with it.
Why is that?
I was still on tour a lot. That had
as
a
you were
lot
you're
to
like
do with
moving
it.
to LA, but you're also going.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I don't really technically. I mean, I do live here.
Yeah,
But
well,
like,
that's what I'm saying though. You're a very like you lived that transient lifestyle, so that's why I beg the
it's a
question.
big word in LA.
You know?
Yeah. Nomadic, perhaps.
Nomadic, transient, in and out
burgers. Double whole grill, extra well fry.
Yeah,
Dr.
hold the
Pepper.
fries for me. I'm good.
Get them extra well. They're really good.
No,
I
still
hate the sauce.
terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, not a huge
Anyways.
fry fan for In and Out specifically.
Yeah, touring makes it hard because you're right when you feel like you've got your feet under you. Gone. Like I leave Thursday morning at 10 a.m. So in less than 48 hours, I will be gone for 40 days.
Yep.
And 40 nights. So that had a lot to do with it, but I mean, it just takes time. I think it just takes time when you move to a new city to find your people.
And each city's different too. So
Each city's different.
definitely makes sense.
But
I think LA in
also,
general
in
can
the
be
moment,
tough.
I thought I had good community. So like
When you moved.
Yeah,
When
I
you
felt
moved
like
in,
I felt like I had good community when I moved here, and
Yeah.
I had great friends. So
Yeah.
like I shouldn't act like I was like a lone ranger. Like I had really great friends
Well-
out here. But now I have like a really deep and healthy
Yeah.
community, and so now I'm like, oh, it wasn't quite like that, and it wasn't like I had in college and high school. I had like really deep, life-giving friendships in college and high school, and so it just took a while to find that out here. But I think that's natural.
Yeah. Well, I think in community too, it's you can have the shallow community. You can have like the fun, like, hey, I'm going to go to a party and I'm going to know a few people here and it's going to be a good time. And then you have the deep aspect as well, the people that you truly rely on, that you can call at any time, not just to call, but people that you invite into the deeper parts of yourself. And depending on who you are, it could be easier or hard to do that. But at the end of the day, we can all agree that that is a vulnerable thing to do. And you don't do that with everybody. And if you do that with everybody, you probably won't shortly. Because you get hurt that way. You hurt other people that way. So, yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah, one thing that's weird about being a songwriter is it's all out there.
Definitely.
And so then people tend to ask very, very personal questions and share insanely personal things and stories.
Just because they think that you
feel safe.
Yeah.
You feel safe to
for
them.
sure.
I mean, it's like if you walked up to your favorite artist, like, oh my gosh, they've walked you through everything. So then
100%.
you
You're
feel
melting down and crying.
It almost feels like you
because-
need to share with them. Like
Yeah.
they need to know.
Yep.
And that creates friction internally, where like people feel like they know you really well, but you feel like you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And then you also don't feel like they actually know you as well as they think they do a lot of times.
Well, because they probably don't.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, your lyrics, are you working through things on a timeline of life?
Yeah, exactly.
You're here
Yeah.
talking to them.
Exactly.
And they're essentially talking to you here
Exactly.
or here or here or here or here.
Yeah, people are always like, "Oh my gosh, dude, is your heart okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went through this 2 years ago."
Yeah. Yeah.
Where were you then?
Like, I'm releasing it now because I'm healed. I'm comfortable.
Where were you then, bro?
They're like, I'm here for you, bro. You're like,
I'm good
I'm
now.
okay.
I'm chilling. Oh, that's real, dude. Yeah, you put out like a breakup song, like, "Oh my gosh, who broke your heart?" Like, nah, she's irrelevant now.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
I don't even remember
What's her name? I don't know. That's why musicians don't include the names in breakup songs or songs about heartbreak or love or whatever.
Yeah, or we do.
Huh?
Or we do.
Or you do. Oh, yeah.
Or they're hidden.
Well, that would make a lot of sense. I wouldn't know to look for it, though.
Yeah, one of the most heartbreaking
Unless I
things
knew the
about
situation.
being a really intentional artist, like I'm not trying to like put out a song a month. That's not my goal.
Yeah.
My goal is to make like real, deep, wholesome art.
Mm-hmm.
Like art.
Yeah.
Like, that's my goal. I'm getting there.
I think you're there a little bit as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoy it.
But like Single
Genuinely.
in Love, right, is like
Yep.
a very cohesive work. There are things like how they work together. Like you love Ghost Part 2.
Yeah, I love it.
There are
Speaks to me- it
things in
speaks to
that
me, bro.
song that speak to other songs on that album. Like the details are connected
Like
to
what?
other
Give me
songs.
one example.
Ghost Part 2 is the name of the song. If a ghost is invisible, why are you all over my room? Dream of the 20s takes place entirely in a room, and it's talking about all the details related to the details in Ghost Part 2. So should have I kissed you in the garden that day? The garden was in Italy. I put little Italy in I cannot remember the words to my song because it's 2 a.m. Dream of the 20s. I put little Italy out the bottle, put her where she cannot bother me, underneath my bathroom sink. Little Italy is a literal bottle of wine from the night in the garden where I didn't kiss the girl.
Interesting. That's kind of tight.
You go to 17 letters at the end, it's like, oh Anna, first song, I fall into love with the fantasy, the dream of my 20s, kissing ghosts in the lilies. It's like direct, and there's all, this is like,
direct link.
these are just the first ones, there's like 40 of them on one side of the EP.
As you're writing these, do you consciously think, well, obviously you think about it, but are you kind of like mapping those out? Do you look at the lyrics side by side at all? Or do you just all in your head, you're just like, this is how I live my life and I'm just going to write my song?
I start just like, blah, just
Of
like
course.
getting it out.
But after that,
And then after the initial get it out, if I need a second verse and it's not coming, I'll go to the other songs to find
Okay.
the truth, to
Okay.
find the story.
So
That
it's more-
album
so it's-
specifically, I obsessed over it though. Like that
Okay,
album,
okay.
I wrote them all the same day. Like side A was all written the same
oh my
day
gosh,
in Grand Teton National Park.
we love it. I still need to go there, by the way.
Oh, it's the best.
Gotta. I have to. It's the mug.
It is.
I gotta finish this
It's
tea.
it's like one of my favorite places in the world.
You asked how I knew when the end of the podcast is.
Uh-huh.
It's when I finish the tea.
Oh, okay, noted.
And when
yeah,
I
I
don't
wrote
have
them
tea,
all
it's
that-
when I finish the figurative tea.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I wrote them all on the same day, and I was, and it that album's like really special to me because it's just it's how I learned to be okay with being single. I've been like single my whole life, and I used to be really insecure about that, and then that album is me coming to grips with the fact and realizing like I'm worthy of love, even if I never find love.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to create an album that was just like super interconnected. And I did. But
Yeah,
because they were all
accomplished it.
written the same day. So like all the details are in the same world.
Yeah.
And then they bleed over to the side B too.
Okay.
They were originally 2 separate EPs, and then
It was just interesting to me. The reason I asked that question is because I didn't know if it was this intentional thing that you designed, like as you're composing, writing, you're also designing. And for me, I'm not a musician, so I don't necessarily like I view things from a story perspective when it comes to filmmaking and all of that, but I don't know exactly how that plays into developing a whole entire album. So I didn't know if you like sat down and were like, okay, I'm going to interconnect these.
I kind of do.
Okay.
It kind of depends on the album.
Mm-hmm.
That one I interconnected a lot lyrically. Long Way Home I interconnected a lot melodically, intentionally.
Yeah.
And then this one is thematically interconnected.
Say what?
Thematically?
Thematically?
Yeah. So like,
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So like each of these songs to me, they're all in like the same world. And then some of them are like American dream oriented. Some of them are romance oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are the intersection of the two. But those are the 2 areas that I feel like I've gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
And the album is called Bleep This Out, The Kid Who Got It All Wrong.
Got it.
And so I'm trying to like
The album is
explore
called The Kid That Got This All Wrong.
The Kid Who
Got
Got
This All Wrong.
Who Got It All Wrong.
The Kid Who Got It All Wrong.
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to have a long bleep.
Yeah, that's funny. And so
Sorry for your ears.
this is me like the songs are basically written
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going through and I'm like figuring out what they actually mean.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what this folder was. So like really crazy
It's a lot of notes.
overthinking. Yeah, I mean I spend a lot of time on I
can
care
see that.
about my songwriting and my art a lot more than a lot of music that we listen to. And
When it shows.
I hope it shows, but like
Yeah.
then I go in here and I just start writing. The core dilemma for the kid who got it all wrong is that as he reflects, he finds there's no end to wanting, no solution to disenchantment. They are as sure company as life itself. All that he's done right still leaves other possibilities unlived. Sure, he's close to the life he wants for himself, but he has no love. And the ones he's loved, his friends, they are no happier than he is, no more content. He lacks love, but is too close to a dream. They lack the dream, but are too close to love to see that it's not the absence we are exploring, but rather the almost. So I'm just like exploring, and I've written like 50 different, what is this album actually about?
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that like I'm just listening and they're like written in collaboration, and so like
Yeah.
there's an endless depth of like what these songs could be.
Yeah.
Like I'm So Tired, my friend Scott heard it before it was released and he sent me this like 5-paragraph message about what he thought it meant, and I was like, I never would have ever thought that's what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
But it was beautiful. It was way
Yeah.
more beautiful than what I thought it meant. So that's where I'm like, I don't know. I just release it. And one of my favorite stories is
But that's the beauty of art too. Is I
We
mean,
release-
everybody's
we-
like, oh, like art is, subjective or whatever, and like it's true though. Mm.
Do you know the Mona Lisa was unfinished?
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah,
Crazy.
wild.
We just got to release stuff, man.
Yeah,
But
just gonna make stuff
with
happen.
care. With care. Like I'm not a big like let's just throw it out there. Like clearly I'm not like that. So I do think
Intentionality is very, very valuable, and obviously, like going back to Jesus, going back to God and the way He created the world, for example, very, very intentional. He knew exactly why He was creating each thing, and even the sequence in which He was creating. on the 7 days that he created them. And when he created man and woman, he knew that he was going to create them in a certain sequence with very specific roles and very specific skill sets.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that way. And desires and all of it. So it's very important to be intentional.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree.
I love the thought of it's cool to think that God is intentional, methodical perhaps,
Definitely
thought
methodical.
out, planned out,
Yeah.
and we're created in his image, so we
Yeah.
also get to be intentional.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm
a
really
part of us.
passionate about is that there's nothing too secular to be sacred.
Dive deep into that. Explain that.
Yeah. You take the Eucharist, right? Or communion.
Yeah.
And when we take communion, we believe we're taking the body and blood of Christ. I mean, not physically, but spiritually.
Yep.
And so a Eucharistic mindset is like the incarnation of Christ, God made flesh. Well, if God can become flesh, then bread and blood can spiritually become, or bread and wine can spiritually become body and blood, right?
Yeah.
And if that is true, then wow, everything in our life then becomes an opportunity to experience God.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we touch, every sunset, every tea, every conversation, every note, every melody, every concert, every relationship,
Keep going.
every food,
There you go.
every steak,
Sheesh.
every football game, every
Okay.
victory, every Uno reverse,
That's a good one.
right?
Yeah.
Every PBR.
Bet you didn't know God was in spicy Uno, did you?
Yeah. All the, I mean, literally.
Wait, did you say PBR?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's definitely PBR. Everything we encounter on this earth
Mm-hmm.
is laced with the Creator,
All up in there.
and therefore there is nothing that cannot be touched by God's grace. And I'm so passionate that definitely extends to art. I'm sorry,
1000%.
Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter is touched by the Lord. You can't hear that song and be upset. Like, it's joy incarnate, and joy is from God. So like, that is a sacred song to me. Like, there's some elements of it that probably maybe can't be played in church, but like, we can listen to it. We can listen to nonsense, and it's funny, and we can laugh. The outros she does are funny. We can laugh about them. Like, we're not above this stuff. Like, I can't stand it when we get all like pious and mighty, and like, it's disgusting to me. Like, who's going to throw the first stone? You know, who's going to cast the first stone at the woman caught in adultery? It's not going to be me. I mean, I don't think we should like encourage it, but you
guys can go ahead.
There is nothing too secular to be sacred. Like,
What about, I see how you use the word secular, right?
I'm also stealing that quote. That's her quote.
Yeah. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Secular, so 2 words, secular, sinful.
Yeah.
What's the difference there? Does she draw a difference there?
Can't we be washed white as snow?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that can also be made sacred.
Yeah.
But
we are sinful creatures. I'm just saying, when talking about enjoying secular things,
right,
things that are touched by the Lord, as you were just saying, like,
right,
you know, Espresso, Sabrina Carpenter,
great song,
great song. But as far as like sinful things, and I wouldn't even say like a scale of sinful things, but when it comes to like sinful things, do you, like, where's the line for you, I guess, when it comes to enjoying sinful things?
What is a sinful thing?
Something that goes against the nature of God, something that that plays into the enemy's schemes for destruction. Yeah.
I think that's everything.
Mm-hmm. Everything, as in,
I think the lines are so blurry, dude. Like, I don't know. I feel like my definition of sin is anything we put above Christ. Anything. So, like, my hot cinnamon sunset tea can become sin.
Mm-hmm.
My music definitely becomes sin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I idolize success. That is sinful.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. Like, my love for Sabrina Carpenter is probably borderline sinful. I think her music is amazing. Like, is it always healthy to listen to? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not singling out Sabrina Carpenter. She's
I'm talking a lot about it. We're just using examples.
Yeah, music. It's just espresso is on top of my mind right now because it's 2
probably
a.m.
because you're tired and you need to wake up or go to sleep.
She's a great artist. So I think what you're asking is, like, if we're making things that are directly in opposition
Making
to
or
what we
consuming,
know the nature of God to be, is that sacred? And I think we know the answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're just adding chaos to chaos, that's not art.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're adding cosmos to chaos, if you're bringing order to the orderless, if you're bringing resolution and to the unresolved, if you're bringing justice, if you're bringing hope and light, that's sacred.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think even like a song that's sinful can be enjoyed in a way that's not sinful. 100%.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily disagree wholeheartedly at all. I'm just trying to beg the question because obviously
I like the question.
We have
well, I can tell you,
we have
90% of people who heard me say that disagree. So
100%. No, I'm just saying, like, obviously we have tendencies as sinful humans, and if we're in a place where it's like leading us to sin more and go away from God, then obviously, like, that's a decision that we should make and feel convicted on to go away from. If listening to Sabrina Carpenter is going to get you to a point in your head where you're not placing God at the number one spot in your life, and you're making decisions that are being destructive to your life because of that, and you realize that specifically off of Sabrina Carpenter in this scenario, because we're using it as an example, then stop listening to Sabrina Carpenter. You know what I mean?
She's too good. No, yeah. You're right.
Yeah. No,
we know. Like, I think a big thing about humans is we really know. Like,
we do.
We try to create
it's
barriers.
Simple, very simple.
It's very,
and that's why I like what you were saying, is because it's essentially simplifying that relationship with God and that right and wrong into we have an almighty God, a loving Father, grace-filled God that gives us the blueprint, like gives us this simple blueprint of, are you glorifying my name? Are you drawing closer to me, or are you not? And it's black and white for a reason. It's simple for a reason. There's no, like, the complicated mess, as he states, is like, that's the devil's playground. That's where, like, the enemy really can mess around with your life. But when you are all for Jesus and you're making decisions based off of that scale of either you're all for him or you're all not, then it becomes very simple and you get out of the weeds really quick.
Totally.
Yeah.
Good word.
Good word. But yeah, it's pretty late, so
Sabrina, if you
we love
see
you.
this, huge fan,
Huge fan. We love you.
big supporter,
Yeah, keep making the music.
and
the art.
honestly, keep making the content you're making because I think it's funny and cool. And
I don't watch it, but
don't listen to judgmental Christians because yeah, you know, maybe a little disrespectful, but apparently you're not a Christian, so I guess who cares for you? I mean,
No.
we care, but like
we do care for you.
we care for you. I wish I never brought you up on this podcast because I feel like this is going to be brought up one day, dug up from the grave, and then I'm going to get canceled. But
Nah, just don't take it out of context. Don't take my boy out of context. So funny. So funny.
don't chop me up.
Dude, random, but I did some research, and I heard you lived in Argentina for a couple years.
I did.
How was that?
Oh, increíble.
And I was gonna ask, do you speak Spanish?
I did. In the past, I was almost fluent, like very conversational.
Did you ever make any music?
No,
Any
I
Latino
sing in
music?
Spanish in the summers at Young Life
Okay.
Camp, though.
Okay.
I sang in Spanish at my Moroccan Lounge concert.
Bro,
I'm good.
everything.
I'm still very decent, but I'm not as good as I would like to be. It's actually something I regret is like letting it kind of slip.
Why'd you live there?
I was studying.
Not that it's a bad thing.
No, it was
just
awesome.
wondering.
I was studying economics, and I had I was pre-med,
Oh, really?
and I had a minor in Spanish, and so it was a upper level Spanish elective
Crazy.
where you intern at a hospital in Argentina. And
Wow.
so I was just getting like medical experience, and I really wanted to get fluent, and Argentina is a program through the University of Georgia where I went that is like full immersion. I lived with a homestay family, Viviana, love of my life. And I like spoke Spanish the whole time. I like walk down the street, read all the signs,
Wow.
speak Spanish to everyone.
Did you take Spanish before going?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I took it all of high school, and then
Yeah.
I've been taking it a couple years in college.
So cool, bro.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
Very unique.
Very unique. Yeah, that's like an era
What-
of my
what
life
city?
that I never talk about.
Yeah.
And it's like an era of my life that was like very special and very formative
I'm sure.
to who I am. Buenos Aires, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And specifically in the neighborhood of Almagro, which was actually the birthplace of the tango. People say it was Boca. It was not Boca. Boca is like the tourist's birthplace of the tango. Almagro is where it was actually created.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. And it's just like a very middle class neighborhood in Buenos Aires, and like the people, like there's like no English spoken. It's not like tourists. There's no tourists. So it was like you literally felt like you were living in Argentina. It was really cool.
Otherworldly, almost in a way, for someone who grew up in Atlanta.
Otherworldly, nah, man, just people.
Okay, cool. Well,
I
yeah. I mean,
I just feel
humans are
like-
humans are humans,
Yeah.
but obviously growing up in one culture or growing up in just one specific area where
Yeah.
a certain language is
I think we're all
spoken,
more
you know.
similar than different.
I agree. Everywhere I've traveled, I see so many similarities.
Yeah, just go to a gas station. We're all the same.
It's
It's like that's my big takeaway from time on the road is like every state thinks they're like sick and like set apart from the rest, and like sorry,
every country, for that matter.
yeah, we're all the same.
Bro, I'm over in
Like-
Southeast Asia at a 7-Eleven. I'm like, this is the same exact as a 7-Eleven over
Yeah,
in
and
Greenwood,
same
Indiana.
characters.
Same characters,
Same
dude.
characters. And you know, this makes me think too, speaking it, because we're also there. right?
Yeah.
In college, the boys used to like go to a bar or whatever, and they'd be like, oh, "I'm not gonna meet your wife at a bar," and I'd be like, "You're at the bar? What? What do you mean you're not gonna? You're there. Why wouldn't she be there?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of logic? What are we doing here?"
I mean, if you don't want to meet your wife at the bar, then I guess don't go to the bar.
Exactly.
But
like,
if,
how do you know your wife isn't going with the same mindset you are, and you're just going to bump into each other with your frozen virgin daiquiris, and you're going to say, oh, what are you drinking? Oh, it's a virgin strawberry daiquiri. Ah, same here. Actually,
Or-
it's just an ice cold Coca-Cola, but it looks like a whiskey Coke so that no one knows I'm not drinking. Experience.
you're like, I've lived this.
Speaking true, I wish I bumped into my wife at the bar. Actually, I don't. I'm glad I'm single and in love.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, right.
Now, I've had those moments too, though. I mean, even just at like a party and having an introverted moment, because I'm an introvert. People say I'm not, but I am, unfortunately.
Yeah, people are wrong. People don't understand us.
They don't.
I'm also an introvert.
An extroverted introvert is what I call myself. Yeah,
Ambivert, as it were.
that is the correct term
I think
for
they're
it.
different things. I think they're actually different
I
things.
think so as well. Yeah.
I just wanted to say the word. I wanted to flex.
But yeah, just being at like a party, having an introverted moment, go in the other room, nobody's there, and just sit on a couch, and then a girl comes in, she sits on the
Wow.
couch, she's having an introverted
Wow.
moment. And then we shared the introvert moment
Wow.
together, you know what I mean?
That
So,
is... What is your ideal way to meet your prospective wife?
ideal way.
Yeah, like I could tell you your wife's name is this.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna meet her, but you get to pick how. You haven't met yet. How would you meet? For me, I'll go ahead and I know my answer,
Answer it, yeah.
so I'm gonna answer it.
I've never thought of this before.
Yeah, my friends and I have been talking about it a lot, toxically, for like 3 weeks. I would, I would want to be in the singles line, going up a pretty intense lift, 2-person chair. We get on together,
Yeah.
and then it gets stuck for like 30 minutes,
Only 30 minutes?
and we just become like, yeah, not too long.
Because
Maybe
you
even
gotta
like
just
15.
like carry it on in the
And
back
then we
end,
just
yeah.
like, this is cool. Like, let's ski together. And then we ski together the whole day. We operate together at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Maybe we sneak into a hot tub at a hotel.
Why not?
We're
You
off to
find
the
out
races.
you're like just similar enough in skill set.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're a dog on the slopes.
That's why I'm saying we're going up like a pretty intense lift. Like we're going
Yeah.
up a black.
Oh, like the back of the mountain.
Back bowls.
There it is.
Come on. Dude.
Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know mine, to be honest. I think I'd
You
have
can
to,
think of it. Come on.
Yeah, I'd have
think
to
for,
think about
You
it.
can think about it for 2 minutes and give me some kind of answer.
I would say it has to be something outdoors as well.
Okay.
I mean, I love outdoors. First thing that pops into my head, I'm going to go with it because I don't want to spend too much thinking, because when I think, then I really don't think, if you know what I mean. I overthink, and then I don't come up with the exact thing that I really desire. But I believe I have it. Driving down the coast, PCH.
17 hours picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers. Okay.
Driving down the coast, could be PCH, could be Portugal for all I care, could be the south of France. I just need some mountains and some water. It's about 6:30
Oh, we're going
on a
time.
nice fall day,
Oh, autumn.
and I'm taking my therapeutic drive along the coastline, and I take a random road away from the coast up into the mountains to get a view. There's a corner, go around the corner, stop. She just so happens to be having a therapeutic drive herself to see the sunset.
You crash or you just
I'd rather not crash.
park next to each
Just
other?
park next to each other and just kind of realize after maybe 15, 20 minutes that we're both doing the exact same thing.
Wow.
And then I think at that point I would probably have the
You
boldness
hear that, ladies?
to walk up and ask her
Skin
what she's
That's the
doing.
way. So yeah, that is my big question: is would you actually approach?
I would.
And here's my thing:
I would. At
no
this
one
point in my life, I
no
would.
one wants to meet the love of their life on an app.
No. Nobody
Everyone wants to meet the love of their life like that.
does. Everybody does.
Or on a plane, or in a coffee shop,
or
walking down the street.
Just as if you don't want to meet your wife, husband at a bar, don't go. If you don't want to meet a wife, husband on an app, delete them.
That's why I ain't got them.
Same. I knew we were friends.
Slash, I ain't that thirsty.
Me neither.
I was on them for a week.
Bro, same. I got depressed.
What? Okay, yeah.
Like, everybody blended together.
Yeah.
I sent maybe 2 messages. Couldn't.
I went through a lot of emotions in that week.
Was this post-breakup?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, one of my friends was like, you should get on the apps. Like, I travel a lot too, and I've met some really cool people through it.
Do we have the same friend?
Is that why you did it too?
Verbatim.
Yeah.
No, I'm not lying to you
That's
right
funny.
now.
Yeah.
Verbatim, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Matthew, shout out. That's wild.
Shout out Gunner. And then I was on there for like a week, maybe a week and a half. And yeah, it was not good for my mental health, number one.
Me neither.
Number 2, I was checking it all the time.
Same.
In number 3, I saw like 2 people I knew. And both times I went, what a loser. And then I was like, wait a second. They probably saw me too.
You're the
I'm
same thing.
Also a loser. And so I was like, I need to delete these.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I'm still single.
Single as a Pringle, man.
That's the worst saying, by the way, because it's very rare you actually pick out a single Pringle. Normally you're grabbing like 5 Pringles.
And just shoving them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my jaw. Yeah. Pringles are perhaps the most paired chip of all chips.
Paired?
Yeah, like...
Oh, yeah, you're never going to get one. Yeah.
No, like, Ruffles, 1 Ruffle.
Usually.
Lay's.
Tortilla
perhaps.
chip.
Definitely.
Tortilla chip, definitely, because you're dipping into something most likely.
Psychopaths get 2 tortilla chips at the same time. Created to create.
Created to create, man. You got anything special coming up? Anything people should know about?
Album's starting to roll out.
Cool.
Yeah, we're finishing tomorrow, hopefully, which is crazy. We've been working on it a year and a half. My producer is one of my best friends, and we are finishing it tomorrow. I'll give you a little sample.
Yeah, dude, play us something.
Because you just said that you...
So we hop off of this.
Yeah, so this is a good... This is not at all what it sounds like on the record, but I like their guitar version, so... Yeah, it's just about getting it wrong, so... I'm not going to sing it loud, because my landlord's...
Oh, I don't want you to sing it loud, bro. Sing it soft for the mics.
Most likely to succeed. Guess I just peaked in high school. Best to take home to mama. What if I had you all fooled? Spinning around that dance floor, acting like the prom king. But buried inside was a terrified little kid who didn't know he could sing. Oh, I'm most likely, I gotta go down. Most likely left out. So embarrassing. Most likely left out.
Are you nervous right now?
I'm not. I think it's 2:30 in the morning. I also I genuinely almost never mess up. Like, this is brutal. Okay, here's the chorus. You talked about overthinking. Most likely left out. Most likely stressed out. Most likely to overthink. Most likely runner-up, hey, most likely out of luck. If she's one wrong out of my league, what am I most likely to be? Hey!
I should have got a bongo drum.
Right, it's kind of fire though.
Yeah.
I want to see my future. I want to know the way. I want to see the sparrows flying over barricades. I want to know the reason I've never measured up to all those expectations placed on me when I was young. Oh, I'm most likely left out, most likely stressed out, hey, most likely to overthink, right? Kind of a vibe.
Kind of. It is a vibe,
Yeah.
not kind of a vibe.
And then, like, songwriting stuff. Oh, I'm going to show you one more thing. I don't know how you edit this podcast, so I'm just going to screw around.
Dude, I love it. I'll make an outro right after this.
So just in terms of, like, created to create, and the way I write, I think this is an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
So I started writing this song. I want to be 16 in a limousine, dancing out the sunroof with my hands lifted to the moon, my newfound confidence, my mid-20s giver about what you think about me. And then whatever in the chorus, 'cause it's like I blinked, every Peter Pan fantasy was just a dream, and all of a sudden everyone on my favorite team is younger than me. Still I feel that fire burning on, whatever the chords are, okay? And then it's called Reluctant Coming of Age, and so I knew the song was about, and basically I wrote first verse like 2 years ago, and then I wrote the chorus like a year and a half ago, and then I sat with it for a full year, and then I got back from our Zermatt trip.
Yeah.
I went to the Louvre, and I started working on the second verse. And I was thinking about national parks. First one's about turning 16. I was like, I want to be 21. Drink a cold one driving through Yellowstone. Share it all with my dad. The first beer that we never had. He'll want a hotel, hot tub. I want to sit by the river. Ask him if he ever feels old now. And then I was like, because I didn't have my first beer with my dad, which is like my biggest regret of my life. And so then I was thinking, okay, next, what would I ask?
He's still alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I've had beers with him. But
Yeah,
not
yeah.
My first beer.
But not your first one. Yeah.
Yeah, you only get one first beer. Man.
Only you.
My big regret. And so then I was like, well, where do I want to go next? I was like, well, I probably want to. If I ask him, do you ever feel old now? I should probably ask him something else. And so then I just went, God, I want to know the truth. And then I had that for like 6 months. And then I just kept playing. I could never figure out where I wanted to take it. And then I got back from France and Switzerland. Ever feel old now? And God, I want to know the truth. I've been chasing around the Louvre. Did you ever feel a mile behind when you were walking in my shoes? And then I was like, wait a second. Verse 1 is about turning 16, wishing I could go back and like be confident in high school. And then verse 1b is about finding the love of, like, I'm talking to the love of my life. Mm-hmm. Verse 2 is about turning 21. What if verse 2b is like a conversation with God and not with my dad anymore? Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is a story about coming of age. Instead, I'm just racking my brain. Like, what's a coming of age story in the Bible? And then it hits me like, we literally have one for our Savior.
Yeah.
When
Jesus
he comes
himself.
of age for his ministry. And so I'm like, God, I want to know the truth. I've been chasing around the Louvre. Did you ever feel a mile behind when you were walking in my shoes? Which is a crazy thought. He was our age on earth. Mm. And did you know where you were going that wedding night when you told her it's too soon? Because when Mary asked Jesus to assume his ministry, he literally felt like it was too soon. Yeah. He was reluctant to come of age into his ministry, which is crazy.
Nuts.
So the song is about a reluctant coming of age, and then it just hit me that like literally in scripture it's there.
So wow.
So I just love.
You think people
songwriting.
pick up?
No,
you think
absolutely
people
not.
pick up on that?
No, not a chance.
Well, now they will, because
yeah,
they're gonna watch this.
Whoever watches this will. And that's the thing is like there's tons of stuff like that. And what made me think about it is like when I was playing that, I want to see my future. I want to know the way. I want to see the sparrows flying over barricades. It was originally, I want to see my future. I want to know the way. I want to see the eagles flying over barricades. But then I was like, okay, what a much cooler image that, like,
way cooler.
God provides for the sparrows,
Yep.
but then even once he provides, I want more. It's not enough.
Yeah.
You can't just provide. I want to see the sparrows fly over barricades, God. Come
Yeah.
on. Like,
Yeah. Show me the miracle.
yeah, so no, I don't think people pick up on it, and I think that's okay. I don't need them to pick up on it. It would be nice sometimes.
Yeah. I think the right people pick up on it too, you know? Like going back to the Holy Spirit and the way it works, like it's not just working in you in shows, right?
Exactly.
It's working in other people as well as you're playing, as you're going through your set list or the lack thereof. So I don't think you necessarily need to explain things, but in the off chance that someone's hit by it and has those questions, then you get to explain and then you get to show people
Totally.
exactly what you're talking about. And that's more powerful because they have that curiosity right up front. And it's not just this like blasted message, you know?
Yeah, which I'm a big believer that if Jesus is our rabbi, he's our teacher, and we're to follow him and apprentice under him, then like the way he did it was with relationships and creating reconciliation and bringing hope. So
Creating curiosity as well.
yeah,
It was the curiosity that caused people to wonder, what did you mean by this? You know, like, why did this parable say this? Why are you teaching us to pray this way, and to who? You know, like the way he was teaching was you're leading somebody to the truth. You're not just plastering the truth in front of them.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So it's,
I love that.
I mean, it's biblical.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like that's more of my heart is make good art,
Make good art.
bring hope, create curiosity, build relationships with people in my life. I'm not trying to make the next great worship songs.
There's a lot of good worship songs already.
There's a lot of good songs, man. Ba-ba-da-do, da-ba-da-do, da-ba-da, mi espresso. I'm
I love that
working
song.
late, 'cause I'm a singer.
Dude, literally, 2:30. Brendan, it's a pleasure.
The pleasure is mine.
Dude, thank you for coming on.
Created to create.
Thanks, guys. Hopefully you get some more sleep than we're currently getting. And hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of late night conversation with Brendan and I. Yeah, just as Brendan said, like, keep creating to create good art, create art that God would be proud of, and create it in the way that he would be proud of. I think that's the biggest takeaway from today. So, yeah.
Amen.
Amen. All right, guys.
Buenas
Peace.
noches.
This is After Hours, Created to Create.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my podcast. My name is Ben. This is my podcast. You are created to create.
We are created by God to create with a driven purpose.
Number one tip.
Just start making stuff.
How do we seek? How do we ask for wisdom?
That's such a good question.
Have fun being what God has called you to be as a creative.
Mic drop.